Hi everybody and welcome back. Now in this lecture we're going to touch on a previous topic, which is printing out our lists, but we're going to look at a much more efficient way to do it. So I've got started here, so as you can see I've added in the usual comments at the top: today's date, the name, my name and the name of this program. So previously we created a list of months and we're going to do that again now. So months equals open and closing square brackets. And what I'm going to do now is just paste in a list of months, so you can do the same, because you don't want to sit here and watch me type through all of those. Now, as we saw in the previous lecture, the only way to print out one or all of the months was to do it individually like this. Print months, and then identify the element which we want to print. So in this case 0, and let's have a look. January, there we go. But in this lecture we are going to learn about looping through an entire list, so you don't have to do this print statement every time. Python's for loop is used every time you want to perform the same action with every item in a list. So in this example we want to print out each month. Instead of doing it individually, let's use a for loop. So let's have a look at how we do that. So let's start off with a comment so we know what we're doing, because this is a new concept. Using a for loop to print a list. Perfect. Okay, so we start off our for loop with a block of code like this: for month, and that's an individual item within our list, month, in months, which is the name of our list, colon. Every for loop has to be closed with a colon, and what that does is it tells Python this is where the body of the loop is, and as you can see it indents it automatically for us. So next we say print month. And what that's going to do is it's going to print out the individual element. So at line 8, which is just here, we define a for loop. Here we are telling Python to take a month from our list of months and store it in a variable called month. We then tell Python on the next line to print the value that was just stored in month. Python repeats this process for every item in the list. For every month in the list of months, print the month's name. That's exactly what we're telling the computer to do. And let's have a look and see how this runs. Beautiful. Every month from our list printed with only 2 lines of code. Looping is a beautiful thing because it allows your programs to automate repetitive tasks. Let's extend our previous month's example by doing a little more with our for loop. So let's update our print statement here. Print month dot title. So we'll capitalize the first letter of each month. Don't forget, like I have just done, your opening and closing brackets at the end of title. Plus, open and closing double quotes, space, is the name of a month. Here we go. So let's have a look and see how that runs. Brilliant. January is the name of a month. December is the name of a month. So as you can see, very easy to automate repetitive tasks that you might have to do over and over again. So let's take a closer look at our for loop. It starts with the line for month in months. This is the start of our loop. When you hit return, your Python code editor should automatically indent the next line, which then reads print months.title and the rest of the code that we have here. Indentation is usually important in Python, and we'll discuss why in a later lecture. In the first line, we are telling Python to go out and get the first value from our list of months and store it in the variable month. So here, obviously the first value is January. Python then reads the next line and prints out the current value of the month, February. Then Python goes back to the first line of the loop and repeats the same process until there are no more values in the list. So it's a process of elimination through the loop. When there are no more values left in the list, Python moves to the next line. In our example, there is nothing after the for loop, so our program ends. Our indentation here, if there was more in the for loop, there would be a new line here at the indentation. New line. But we don't have anything here. So Python knows that this is the end of the for loop. So within your loop, you can do just about anything, and you can write as many lines of code in it. So we could have as many new lines here as we wanted. And once they're indented, Python considers them part of our for loop. Every indented line after month and months is considered, as I've just said, by Python to be inside the loop. And each indented line is executed once for each value in a list, which means that you can do as much work as you like with each value in a list. So let's beef up our program with the following. So let's first just print out our list of months. And we'll put each month on a new line. So we'll leave it at month.title plus / new line. Perfect. And don't forget, we need to still, because this is a character, new lines are considered characters, we need to put that in opening and closing quotes. Next, print, opening, closing, double quotes. The next month is, and leave a space there. And let's see how that looks. Very nice. January, the next month is February, the next month is March, the next month is April, and so on and so on. So as we've just discussed, if you don't put anything after your for loop, your program just ends. But most of the time, you'll want to give your users some feedback. Any lines of code after the for loop that are not indented are executed once without repetition. Print. Goodbye. Nice. And at the very end, goodbye. Okay, so that's an introduction into Python's for loop. We're going to be using that quite extensively in the rest of this course, so don't worry, we'll be getting much more into it later on. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next lecture.